Господин полковник, я что-то... Меня так, Вит, напишите!
改呀，让我安静点，我现在不能帮你们。
Destiny is grown. Sohan went to visit Fire as often as she could. If it wasn't too late in the afternoon like today, she would go for a ride with him in the forest. Sometimes Constantine would go with her. Today they were both going to pay their horses a visit, but only Sohan wanted to ride. When they reached the pasture, their horses, contrary to fiction, headed for the other end of the field. The myth of the horse galloping over to his master was invented by romantics who attributed dogs' traits to horses. A horse was always free and independent. He was willing to take you with him and follow your instructions, but to rush towards you in a vulgar display of enthusiasm was contrary to his sense of freedom. Horses and human beings were not of the same world. One was a predator and the other prey. With a gregarious instinct, and although they understood and respected each other, humans had to understand that they could not run after them fast enough, and if an animal ended up coming, it was only because he wanted to. It was an amusing game in which each had his own ruse. Sohan's was fairly simple, a sack of carrots. If Fire didn't want to come, that was okay. Sohan would simply give the carrots to another horse in the pasture. Generally, Fire would seem to hesitate for a few seconds and then slowly, with dignity, come over to her, acting as if he had come along purely by chance. Once a rope was looped around his neck, the contract was official and the cooperation total, until they returned to the pasture and his halter was removed. Fire would then pretend to escape, as if to say, "Free at last, it's about time." After having brushed and saddled him and given him the carrots, they headed for the forest. There was no need to decide whether to gallop or not. Although Fire would have gladly obeyed her order, it was such a pleasure to let the horse decide for himself. And the decision wasn't long in coming. As soon as they came to the first straightaway, the Ferrari of the equestrian world was off and running.